The Wonder by Onomonopia. Chapter 17. Games. Thank you for coming on such short notice, Diana, Celestia said as Diana sat down in a chair next to her. It must have been important, considering that you sent a substitute to my classroom just to make sure I would come. Diana replied, It is important. Luna added as she opened the door to the principal's office and glanced at the hallway. Have you heard of Principal Sinks? No, I cannot say that I have. She runs a rival school to her own, and has always seen herself superior to us. Her school is undefeated in offensive games, our annual competition between the two schools, Celestia explained. That it was, until the last time we tied. She wasn't happy about that? It was the way we tied, Luna said. She rubbed the back of her head. See, we were having issues with magic at the time, and so during some of the events, certain students had access to magic. She believes you cheated? What would be putting it lightly? But why tell me this? I thought you were keeping the talk about magic between those you trusted. Diana pointed out to the two. Luna and Celestia shared a quick look. I've been talking to Sunset recently, and from what I can worm out of her, you are the one responsible for helping her get over her nightmares, Luna said. Other students have also said how kind and patient you have been with them, while being firm when needed. So my sister and I talked it over, and we have both agreed that you are a person that can be trusted with this information. I'm glad you have so much faith in me. Diana honored with a kind smile. That still doesn't explain why I'm here. Just because. Before Celestia could finish, the door to the principal's office was thrown wide open, and a woman with purple hair walked inside. Her eyes were cold as she gazed at Celestia and Luna with a look of annoyance. But that turned into a look of interest when she spied Diana. I was told that talk would be kept between me and the two of you. Why is she here? Since asked in a less than friendly tone. Diana gave her a cold stare in reply, but it was Celestia that spoke. This is Diana. She is one of the teachers here, and one that nearly all of the students respect. We have picked her. Very well, Sid said while Diana tried to figure out what Celestia meant. Sid sat down in a chair across from Celestia's desk and pulled out a sheet of paper she laid it before the principal. These are the terms and conditions which I have drawn up for the rematch, as it were. Principal Sins, I know you have your own way of doing things, but some of these requests are absurd, Celestia said after reading the paper over. Anyone caught using magic is to be expelled. Neither Luna nor I are allowed near the games. Absurd! At the last games, my students were attacked by plants. What's the battle between two of your students that nearly tore apart the fabric of reality? And what's worse, some of my students lost respect for me. After all that, I believe that my requests are reasonable, and I assume that you believe so as well, because you have brought your substitute. All eyes fell to Diana, who had taken the paper and was reading it over herself. As he read, a smirk crossed her face numerous times. Once she even laughed out loud, before she placed the paper on her desk and glared at Since. Diana, what we meant by we chose you was, I understand, Celestia. Since the two of you aren't allowed to help any of the students, you wanted to leave in the hands of a person you could trust. Diana finished for her with a narrow glare at Since. Fine, I'll help the students in your places. And Principal Since. Diana then rose out of her chair and walked over to where Since was sitting, placing her face just inches away from the principal so she could glare directly into her eyes. You just made a terrible mistake. Diana waited until Since's pupils had shrunk as hard as they could go. She returned to her seat, peeking at the paper once more and glancing over it. But I am confused about one part. You say in here that Twilight and her friends are not allowed to compete, but you want Sunset to compete. Why is that? If you must know, Sunset is responsible for my school losing one of its best students to this place. Sin spat out. Her defeat in front of my entire school would do wonders for the morale. Implying that Sunset would ever lose to the likes of you. Diana coolly responded. And know this. I don't agree to these terms. Diana and Twilight and all of her friends will be allowed to complete. Since opened her mouth to argue, but Diana glared at her once again. For a brief moment, only Since could see the literal lightning that flashed in Diana's eyes. Since reeled back in her chair before clearing her throat. Yeah, and you better listen well, Since, because Diana will call in Nelson Murdoch on you. Ding! Marvel! Son of a... Jennifer Walters? Ding! Marvel again. Amazing Andy? Ding! Marvel again. Oh, for crying... Alright, out there, my dear beloved fans, if you are listening, if any of you are diehard DC fans, if any of you knows of a Marvel superhero who's actually a lawyer, please call me and leave a comment in the comment section. Because I just realized I don't think DC has any lawyers. Very well. Twilight and her friends may compete, but if there's even a whiff of magic being used, they are automatically disqualified. Now that I can agree to. I also decided some of the events that will take place. Since says he took control of the room again. The first event would be something even your students to be able to handle. A simple game of trivia. Sounds easy enough, Celestia agreed. Next, I decided on an obstacle course. One that will be both mentally and physically trying. I would suggest that you pick your star student to participate in that one. Sin said with a cold smile towards Diana, who knew about whom exactly she was talking. The final challenge will be something your students were quite familiar with. A soccer match between Crystal Prep and Canterlot High. Diana glanced over to see Luna and Celestia sharing nervous looks. What's the matter, Celestia? Afraid that your team won't be able to defeat us? I have nothing but absolute faith in our team, Celestia replied, before giving Diana a worried look. If you say so. Now. Since started to speak, but Diana held up a hand to silence her, glanced towards the door. Rainbow, it would be easier to hear what we're saying if you came in here, instead of trying to listen through the door. The three principals' eyes widened as the door slowly creaked open, and the rainbow-haired girl peeked in with a meek smile on her face. I was just passing by, and If you wish to say something to me, go ahead and tell me what it is. Diana interrupted with a sigh. Well, I couldn't help but hear what you guys were talking about. And with one of the challenges being a match between our soccer teams, I was hoping that you would allow me to play, just so we could crush those Crystal Prep students. Come on, Diana. Our school has wanted to beat them for so long. Diana felt every gaze in the room upon her, but she remained unmoved by Rainbow's plea. As I said, Rainbow, if you wish to play on the soccer team, you'll need to get your grades up, and they currently aren't good enough. That's completely unfair! Das yelled. Without me on the team, we stand no chance against Crystal Prep. We'll lose! Since, when will these games take place? Diana asked. Next February, why? There you go, Rainbow. You have at least 5 months until your team plays. Tell you what, if your grades are impressive enough by the time winter break comes around, I'll put you back on the team early. Diana said with a smile. That still wore expressive of rage on her face, but it was clear to her that even Diana would not be moved. Rainbow dashed inside and left the room without another word. Why, Diana, with an attitude like that, you should be playing for my team. Since chuckled, but a glare from Diana silenced her. All right, Celestia. I submitted my ideas for the rematch. Are we in agreement? Celestia crossed her hands, stood at her desk a moment before sighing and nodding. Very well, Principal Since. Our rematch is in order. But let it be known that the same restrictions you place on us will be on your students as well, Celestia warned her. If your students are caught using any magical forces to cheat, they too will be disqualified. As if my students would need to cheat to defeat yours, Since replied with a smirk before she rose and walked toward the door. It was interesting to meet you, Diana. I can see why the students talked about you so much. See you all next February. I doubt it will be much of a competition. So you want Sunset to run the obstacle course? Celestia once sits out the room. She has a personal vendetta against her. I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't have an opponent all lined up for her already. Then perhaps we should decide how it should be in the trivia challenge. And what's of our students to run the obstacle course? Celestia suggested. I believe Twilight should be the one to participate in the trivia challenge. She's incredibly intelligent. I agree. So do I. Alright, for the obstacle course, Sunset can handle it. Both Luna and Celestia turned to face Diana, who had a look of complete confidence in her face. Sunset can handle anything Sin throws at her. I've been working with her personally, and she has amazed me many times. I have no doubt in her. Celestia and Luna shared another look before Celestia nodded. Very well, Diana. If you have such faith in Sunset, then we shall indeed have her run the obstacle course. Celestia agreed. This brings us to the topic about Rainbow Dash. I will not let her back on the team until her grades are up. Diana stated once more. If we let her back simply because she begged us to, what would that teach her? That she could get away with whatever she wants by whining? No. If she wishes for revenge against Crystal Prep, she will have to earn it. Are you sure you're not a Spartan, Diana? Luna asked. Diana chuckled and replied before rising out of her chair. She headed for the door, but Celestia cleared her throat to stop the teacher. As my sister and I are not allowed to interfere in this competition, we leave this Sunset in your hands. Do not worry. She is an incredible student and fast learner. None of us will fail you. I hope not, Celestia muttered under her breath, as Diana closed the door into her office, leaving her and her sister alone. I am worried, sister. I cannot shake the feeling something bad will happen like last time. Are you sure you're not afraid of us losing? Even with magic on our side, all we could do last time was tie, Luna reminded her sister. Perhaps the Crystal Prep students are simply more skilled than us. You say another word and I'll fire you for treason, Celestia joked before glancing down at the paper, stating the rules. But if any teacher can help our students to win, it's Diana. I can't wait to see the look on Sis's face when Sunset turns out to be a full-fledged ninja. Principal Sis glanced down at her pocket watch, annoyed as he was waiting for 5 minutes ago. Being at the school, even for this short time, has made them soft. When he returned to Crystal Pip, I will be certain to place him in our toughest classes so they can catch up, she thought while hiding in the shade as a horse statue. Hello, Principal. Sorry we're late. Sis turned to see the smiling face of Crystal, the annoyed face of Agatha, and the content face of Boulder. We should have been here on time, but all the students in the school are so intent on trying to learn every single little thing about you, it took us a while to escape. It's no fault of your own. The students here simply see the talent and wish to learn their secrets. Now then, what have you learned? Said Saxton. First off, is that Sunset and her little band of misfits are definitely where all the magic and the skills coming from, Crystal reported. What's worse, it seems like that new teacher, Diana, knows this, is on their side. Sis bit her lower lip at the news, but regained her composure a moment later. No matter. We shall be on the lookout for magic this time, and they know that. As pathetic as they are, even these students would not dare use magic, Sid said before a frown crossed her face. But what of this Diana? She is an unknown in this situation. Diana's really nice. I used to help students all the time, and is always willing to listen to them, Mulder said before a shiver went up his spine. But when she gets angry, like it's because one of those scientist beings on the planet, she doesn't say anything, but the look she gives you makes you want to curl up in your chair and die. Yeah, I've gotten that look too. Even I falter under it. See, Crystal agreed before both she and Boulder gazed over at Agatha. Well, does you have anything to say about Diana? She's overrated. I don't see why you're all so worried about her, Agatha replied with a shrug. As scary as she seems nothing more than a regular teacher who has a good glare. You should see my father's. Honey, is there something you want to talk to us about? some emotional issues you might want to discuss?
Sunset's only friendly face, and even she's hardly a challenge.
Since seemed relieved at her words, a smile across her face. We'll keep me informed if anything different occurs. We'll not allow even the smallest chance of these fools to come defeat us in the past. Since they left the students alone, and the group split apart. Save for Agatha, who glanced down at her hand.
So, why do you want to tell me who Sid really is?
She asked her hand, where the image of a helmet that was invisible to all but Agatha was printed on her hand. Because I do not want the surprise to be spoiled so early. Because Sid is a fool. Don't worry. Soon enough, you'll have all I have promised you.
Then I can finally crush all those who look down on me. Just like you, Sunset.
Chapter 18 Sunset. Orange and red leaves covered the ground, rustling with a crackling sound. The chill air blew through the park, trying to knock the remaining leaves that hung into the trees for their fleeing lives to join their brethren. But if the wind failed to knock the leaves to the ground, then the force of the two fires colliding would. The girl with the hair that masked the landscape lunged forward with incredible speed, hurling her right leg towards the head of her teacher. Yet in the face of being kicked in the head, all the teacher did was smile before leaning to the side to dodge the blow. Too slow, Sunset, Diane taunted as he grabbed a hold of Sunset's leg. Before she could toss the girl to the side, however, Sunset flipped over at Diana's grasp and drove her other foot towards Diana's face. Diana leapt backwards to avoid the blow, but the sudden movement made her lose her grip on her foe. Sunset barely hit the ground before she threw herself back into the fight, going with rapid rights and lefts at Diana's stomach. Diana brought her arms in and deflected each punch with relative ease. Sunset grunted as she ceased her rapid-fire attack and took aim for Diana's nose. But the moment Diana saw the attack cease, she kicked straight up and caught Sunset straight in the chest. Diana was launched across the park and slammed to the ground, flat on her back. The leaves she landed took to the sky once more, edging around the girl who was struggling to get her breath back. Are you all right over there? Diana called out to Sunset. Simmer responded by rolling onto her stomach and slamming her fist to the ground before pushing herself back up. I was afraid for a moment I had taken your head off, but now I can see you just blended in with the leaves. Actually, in this environment, you might actually be able to sneak up on me.
Keep laughing, Diana, and keep your guard down,
Sunset mused. Sunset steadying herself on her feet, over grabbing hold of her black jacket. Then she tore the jacket from her body and tossed it to her side, leaving with her red and orange t-shirt an expression of pure concentration. Diana motioned for Sunset to bring it, doing as her instructor asked. Sunset lunged forward once more and jabbed her elbow right in Diana's face. Diana caught the attack with one hand while going for a chop with the other. Sunset caught the movement and used her other arm to push both of their arms into her front of the attack. Diana raised an eyebrow as her own arm stopped the attack, but she was still ready for a leaping kick that Sunset tried to catch her with. Not good enough. Diana slammed her own elbow into Sunset's gut and sent her straight to the ground. Sunset let out a gasp of pain as he impacted the dirt. Diana then swung down with a punch of her own. But to her surprise, Sunset was still aware enough to block the attack with her forearms. Seems you've toughened up quite a bit since the last time you fought like this. Diana praised as she used her strength to slowly push down Sunset's arm. But this fight is not yours. You've taken too much, and you're showing your stand too early. Are you ready to call it quits?
Never!
Sunset planted both her feet onto Diana's chest and was kicked off. While Diana was far too powerful to be buzzed by the attack, that was not the intent of Sunset's attack. Instead, Sunset employed Diana like a springboard, used the force of her legs to propel herself backwards. Then she rolled to her feet and immediately took up her fighting stance once more. Diana raised an eyebrow at her student, who was panting heavily and clearly exhausted. But she still wants to keep going. Diana mused as she too took up her fighting stance once more. Diana took the initiative this time and closed the gap between the two of them in the blink of an eye. Sunset had just enough time to register that Diana had moved forward before Diana whipped her student's legs out from under her. Once again, Sunset surprised her, Yasiana did like she was going to roll, before kipping back up to her feet. She's been this way for months now. Diana pondered while she tucked under a kick into her head, almost like she has something she wants to prove, and willing to do anything to prove it. Diana blocked a second kick with her shin, before whipping her leg back around to catch Sunset in the shoulder. The blow sent Sunset sprawling to the ground. Once again, she pushed herself back up with sheer willpower. Cover yourself in leaves now? Are you trying to blend in? Diana teased. Sunset brushed most of the leaves that had gotten tangled her hair off of a growl, but she regained her composure as she slowly advanced towards the Amazon. Sunset tried for a quick fight, but Diana responded with a palm strike to the chest that knocked Sunset back. Sunset went low as he tried to tackle Diana's legs. It was a simple leap. Diana dodged the attack and went right over Sunset. Sunset, this is getting ridiculous, Diana said with a sigh as she landed. Sunset spun around, brought her fist up once more, but Diana could hear how heavily she was breathing. You are obviously tired. Let's take a break and I can show you more ways to break a person's joints. How does that sound? No, I'm not done. Sunset, I applaud your bravery, but this is over. Diana informed her student with a stern voice. You're obviously exhausted. The only reason this fight continues on is because I have decided not to end it. Then what are you waiting for? Sunset asked as he glanced to her right for a brief moment. Diana followed her gaze but didn't see anything interesting. Go ahead. Finish it! Diana shook her head before closing a gap between her and her student. With a single step, preparing a simple pressure point strike would end the battle. At the moment she got close to Sunset, a massive gust of wind blew across the field. The moment Sunset felt the gust of wind, she kicked up the leaves that were around her into the air. These were immediately caught by the gust, swirling around both Sunset and Diana. Wait, where did she go? Diana asked as she found for a brief moment she could not see Sunset in the leaves. Click! Diana blinked in surprise as Sunset's knee connected with her right jaw. However, the cracking sound wasn't caused by Sunset's knee snapping Diana's head back. Instead, it was caused by a human knee striking an Amazonian skull. Ah! Son of a gun! Sunset cried out as she crashed to the ground. It was a knee that struck Diana. Diana grabbed a hold of Lasso and summoned Hermes' healing elixir. Sunset swore at the sky in pain. A few drops down Sunset's throat was enough to soothe the pain. But as Diana glanced at the ball, she found she had a frightening little left. That looked like it hurt, Diana said as she helped Sunset sit up. This is why I told you not to strike me as hard as you could. Okay, first, that hurt like hell. Second, what the hell? I hurt you before, it was nothing like that, Sunset cried out. That's because every time you struck me in the fast, I was fast enough to register the strike and move myself with the blow. Diana informed her son. So wait a sec. In all our past sparring fasts, whenever I hit you, I wasn't actually hitting you? Sunset asked. If you wanted to, you could have actually gotten out of the way. Of course, Sunset. I am far faster than any regular human. Well, there goes all the confidence I gained from fighting you in the past. Sunset grumbled as she pulled her knees up and started to sulk. Cold gust of wind ceased the sulking and got Sunset to begin shivering. Diana retrieved a jacket from her student, who was sitting down next to her. The pair watched the leaves dance across the field in silence, while the crackling of the leaves entertained them. That was brilliant of you, though, Diana eventually said to break the silence. You used the fact that your hair and shirt were the same color as the leaves to blend in. Caught me completely off guard. It was a bad idea to suggest the idea in the first place, Sunset responded with a smirk, before glancing up at Diana's jaw. But today, I actually got you, right? That was the first time I actually landed a strike on you? To be completely honest, yes. You got me, You got me. Diana seeked a glance to her student, seeing her eyes were shining like the sun. A smile on her face Diana had not seen in a long time. So why was it so important for you to actually strike me? Your word for doing so was a nearly busted knee. Shows I'm learning, Diana, that I'm getting better, Sunset replied with raw excitement. Shows no matter what sense of Hades throws at me, I'll be ready for them. Ah, Diana said, finally starting to understand. This is about proving yourself, isn't it? Sunset nodded once, before wrapping her arms around her knees, resting her head a bit upon them. What kinda? But not to anyone at the school, more like Urgh! Sunset mumbled, before laying down on her back, and staring at the outer sky for some time. Did you ever have a mentor, Diana? She eventually asked. A person that you looked up to, admired, wanted to be like when you grew up? Yes, I did indeed. I said, he was Ares, god of war. He was the one who taught me how to fight, be strong. I saw him more as a mentor. I saw him as family. Technically he was family, but that's beside the point. Yes, I did admire him. I strove to be like him. Did you ever fail him? Diana took a deep breath at the moment, recalling all that had happened to her. From being an outcast, to being selected by Ares to be trained, to the night in the labyrinth. She gazed down at Sunset, who was averting her eyes to make sure Diana did not see her face. Yes, he did. The moment Diana spoke those words, Sunset turned to face her teacher, horror expression that Sunset knew all too well. He took me in, trained me in the ways of war, taught how to fight, to kill. For my final test, to prove I was a warrior, I was sent into the labyrinth to kill the Minotaur. And you didn't? I could not. After defeating the beast, I raised my blade and prepared to strike it down. But as I gazed into its eyes, I did not see a monster. I saw a living being that was helpless, afraid, and I could not strike it down. Diane said in a near whisper. I spared his life. For my actions, Ares cast me aside and said I would forever be his greatest failure. Those words still carved into my very soul today. I do not regret sparing the Minotaur's life. But that god took me in and trained me, trusted me, and I failed him. And then he proceeded to kick his butt in World War One. Sorry, I promise. Only Wonder Woman movie reference in this chapter. The parents sat in silence for a long time. Sunset, not knowing what to say, while Diana was simply lost in the memories of her time training with Ares. Sunset then began to think of the times she had trained with Celestia, and how much like Diana she had failed. At least you betrayed your teacher for noble reasons. Sunset finally said. Diana broke free of her memories. Gazed down at Sunset with sympathy. I did it because I wanted power. I cast aside the love and caring of the pony that took me under their wing. All for power. I deserve to be the outcast here. I deserve to be cast aside like the failure I am. Diana's face softened for a moment, for she wrapped her arm around Sunset's shoulder and pulled her in close to her. We all make mistakes with our lives. What's important is that we learn from them. And you are my student now, and I promise I will not cast you aside. You don't want me as your student, Diana. I'll probably fail you too. Of course you will. The student's job is to fail from time to time, Diana informed Sunset, but a teacher's job is to help you learn from those failures and become better in the process. If your teacher gives up on you, or believes you are beyond help, then that teacher is a far greater failure than that student shall ever be. That's pretty powerful. Who told you that? Ares. Sunset found that she couldn't help but smile, and seemed going into Diana slightly. Hey, Diana, do you mind if I keep training? I don't feel like going home yet, and I want to do some productive with my time. Think you can start preparing me for the friendship games coming up? Rumor has it you selected me specifically to go to Crystal Prep. Of course I did. You are my star student, after all. I might not know what kind of obstacles you face, but I could do my best to prepare you for what you might face, Diana said. Both rose to their feet, Diana gazing up at the sky. Do you need to call your parents first and make sure where you are? I don't have parents. Here, I mean. I'm sure my counterpart here does, but my parents are back on Equestria. Sunset said with a sad smile. I'm sorry, Sunset. I did not know. It's fine. I make peace with it. Sunset admitted with a shrug of her shoulders. This is my life now, and for all the bad things I've done, it's a better life than I deserve. You are too hard on yourself. You are a far better person than you believe. And you're a far better mentor than I deserve. Sunset whispered as she gazed towards the horizon, where the sun was just beginning to set. For a moment, she wondered how Celestia and Twilight were doing. Then she thought of her parents and family, wondered how they'd been in her absence. Then, she cast those thoughts aside and gazed back towards Diana, who was talking with an owl on her shoulder.
I promise here, Diana. I won't fail you the way I did Celestia.
Sunset promised to the darkening sky. She tightened her fist over her heart. I'm gonna win the friendship games and show you that your teaching wasn't wasted on me. That I'm not the failure I believe myself to be. I promise I'll make you proud.